Let's get someone to lead us in an opening prayer, please. Who is leading us?
Shona.
Okay. Shona, lead us.
Okay, let's humble ourselves for a word of prayer. Dear Lord, one thing for this day, one thing for the gift of life, one thing for bringing us this history lesson. Father, we pray that as we are attending our last lesson of the day, may help us to pay attention. Also pray that may bless the teachers doing their work. Also pray that may help us understand everything that they're going to teach us. Also pray for good connection. Bless you and we thank you in Jesus' mighty name we have prayed. Amen.
Okay. Can I get someone to remind us? But before I do that, I know Teacher Joel might be busy. Can I get someone to act as a co-host? Because I want, as I'll be sharing my screen, I can't again. Nasuna, can you? And Agire. So let me give
Yes,
you.
teacher.
Okay,
Yes.
let me give you, right? Wait. Okay, Teacher Joel has given you. Teacher Joel and even Shona, if they be two, it will be easy, okay? That is very good. So as I'm sharing my screen, you're helping me pick people who are actually raising up the hand. Or the other time, who helped us to show the screen? I can even get someone who can help us in that.
It was me, teacher.
Do you have the work, eh?
No.
Not real, eh?
Yes.
Okay, you read the number and I send the work on your WhatsApp.
Check this in on email.
What's your email?
Okay.
Okay. I think
then let me send it to Teacher Joel.
No, I think I've ever sent you an email. Is that correct?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, Joel, let me send the work to you. Okay.
Teacher, you don't need to send me. Is it
you
Oman?
already have? Yes, I had already sent. By the time you told me I was sending. Okay, so as teacher is working hand in hand with Shona, can I get girls to remind us today? I want you to be very active and I want you to participate actively in this lesson. Can I get someone to remind us what we actually talked about last time and what did you pick from Oman rule? My co-teachers, you help me pick those people. People raise up your hands, you'll be unmuting yourself, then you'll be telling us.
Hola.
Last time we learned about the effects of curfew wars in South Africa.
We are in paper one.
Shona,
that is Oman Arabs.
Shona, I hope you've seen the email.
Yes, teacher, I've seen it.
Okay.
Paula, we are in paper one.
Sorry.
Yeah, but he's still in paper one, you can tell us. What do we talk about last time? Okay, choose another person as Paula is thinking. Hello? Can I see people raising up their hands telling us what we studied last time? Hello, people. You are shaming teacher as if you aren't in class, because I wanted to connect the lesson to what we are going to cover today. Annie Grace, what did you pick?
We learned about the Oman rule at the East African coast between 1740 and 1840, of which there's a rivalry between the Portuguese and the coastal Arabs. So the coastal Arabs requested their brothers, the ones in Oman, for help. Yeah, and there were two families which were leading in Oman. Yes, that's what I remember.
Rosemel, can you continue from where she has stopped?
Teacher, we talked about how the Busaidi and the Yoruba how the conflict came about when the leadership in Oman changed, but the people at the coast did not want to give up their power.
Which family came to rescue the Arabs at the coast? Was it the Yoruba? Was it the Busaidi? Raise up your hand, please. We had chorus answers. Raise up your hand and tell us, was it the Yoruba family or was it the Busaidi family? Raise up the hands, please. Again, and Grace, what about other people? Hajovia Namuga, tell me.
It was the Yarubi. They appointed the Mazri to control the coast.
I just want one person to also tell us, as in Ndagire is working upon her screen, to tell us what you picked out of what we covered. One more person, please. Someone who has not given us an answer. Moya, can you tell us something, anything? Your hand is not up, but I know you attended the class. Moya, Aisha? Okay, can Janat Akirabi tell us something? Yes? Okay, Charity?
Teacher, when the Mazri were appointed, the Yoruba then appointed the Saidi family to come and take over the coast, but because the Mazri were not ruling the way they wanted them to, and that caused the conflict.
Because the conflict. Charity, I think you have something to tell us, Charity. Unmute and tell us. Charity, please, I've given you a chance.
I'm the one who was given the answer, just right.
Okay. Now lower your hand. Okay. Try to make the screen at least, the letters are not seen, please. People can't read them. Okay. We are doing the course. I think that's what we didn't see. Now, I know these slides had a bit of some confusing. First, go back where there is the heading of the Busaidi Mazrui conflict. Where it is starting from. Then I'll tell you what you'll do. There was some bit of misarrangement in the slides, but we shall solve it here. Can you try to broaden it? Can I get someone to lead us through? Today I said I want your participation in class. Shona, Teacher Shona, do we have someone raising up their hands who is ready to lead us in the first point there?
Ahura Jemima.
In 1698, Fort Jesus fell in the hands of Oman Arabs after chasing away the Portuguese. In 1741, a conflict arose between the Busaidi and the Mazrui. The Busaidi were Arabs from Oman and the Mazrui were the coastal Arabs who mainly settled in the town of Mombasa.
Jemima, what are you picking from that? Are you picking anything from what you're reading? Shona, do you have someone who can help Jemima?
Jovia Namuga.
Namuga, what are you picking from that?
98 for Jesus fell in the hands of the Oman Arabs after chasing away the Portuguese. So this means that this is when like they took over the Fort Jesus, which was built at Mombasa. Then in 1741, a conflict arose between the Busaidi and the Mazrui. The Busaidi were Arabs from Oman, and the Mazrui were the coastal Arabs who mainly settled in the town of Mombasa. So I think in 1741, the reason why the conflict arose was because the Mazrui had refused to give in to the Busaidi to also control the coast.
You know, Fort Jesus was for the Portuguese. And they're telling us that when the Oman Arabs came, they chased the Portuguese and actually took it over. But remember, they're telling us that some years after, you're seeing how many years are those? 98, 1741, 41 plus that 2, 43 years down the road, there was a conflict. They're telling us between the Busaidi and the Mazrui. The Busaidi, we know, they are the ones from the Arab area, were the Arabs from Oman, and then the Mazrui were these ones who were at the coast. So there was a challenge there. Could the coast be for the Busaidi? I mean, should first of all, should the coast be taken over by the Busaidi family, or should it be taken over by the Mazrui? They are going to begin a quarrel because each one had a desire, each one had the interest in actually taking through and actually controlling. Now, teacher, first move, I will show you how we are going to connect it to the course. Then first move the next slide. Now there, those are causes, move, which we finished last time. Again, those are causes, even those, don't over be fast. First take back slightly. Those are causes. Move slowly. Those are causes. Those are causes. 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 Yes, move. Move. Now move to the next slide. Move.
Teacher, should I move back or move forward?
There is a slide that is going to connect you to the course. That is what I'm looking for. Those are all causes.
Forward.
Move forward.
Yes.
In December 1698,
Fort Jesus fell in the hands of the Oman Arabs after chasing away the Portuguese. In 1728, the Portuguese attempted to recapture the coast, but were driven out with the help of the Oman Arabs.
What are you picking in that point of 1728?
In 1728, meaning after the Portuguese were defeated, they the coast to put it back in their control, but they failed.
The Oman Arabs actually failed them. Shona, first.
Again.
Yes. Namuga, we are hearing you. Yes, we are.
Then after recaptured Mombasa.
Hope people are summarizing the events the way they are coming in. Scroll so that the teacher can go on.
In the event must contract like following Mombasa.
So here, what we are looking at, the Mazrui control. They're telling us that the Mazrui who were at the coast, they now show that they were expanding and extending along the coast. Now here they are telling us the towns in which, the town through which they extended to. They have mentioned the Pemba, they have mentioned the Pati, they have mentioned the Malindi, they have mentioned the Zanzibar. These are coastal towns, you know them, we studied them when we are looking at coastal history. And they didn't want the Busaidi to come and occupy those coastal towns. So for them, they made an extension and went as far as those towns were actually concerned. That's why they're even telling us that later, Malindi, Pati, Pemba, Kira, and Mafia rebelled and applied to the Portuguese. And at least because they didn't also want this Mazrui control, at least they had to call upon the Portuguese to come back and maybe assist them. But remember, the people they were calling had already been chased. And at least for them, they were like, we can recognize the overlordship of the Portuguese. Now, what I want us to do to make sure that all girls are with us, Shona is going to take us to the first slide where we started from before we continue. I don't know if it will work or we first go on. I wanted us to come back and see how we can summarize the whole story. Or we can first move on, then later we come up and summarize.
We first move on, summarize.
We first come back and summarize.
Beginning.
Okay, Shona, take back Namuga to the first slide so that she can go on picking out what the points that the girls can note down. Okay. We had now covered 6 points because I want at least the people to see the flow of the story. Namuga, you go on giving us what the summary that we can note there.
Yes, in 1698, first of all, I think we should take note of the years. The first one is in 16s and the rest is in, the first one is 1600s, then the rest are in 1700s. So the first statement says in 1698, Fort Jesus fell in the hands of the Oman Arabs after pushing away the Portuguese. I think we'll make like a small summary table and list the important years.
Now people make a table. One is year, another one should be what, event. Can it work better like so?
Yes.
Because we want to simplify it so that the girls can see that what they were thinking that it's hard becomes easy. So now,
like you come to with me in my place when you go fake.
Who is that one?
Me and you.
Can you mute that person?
Actually,
we are going to test her out of our class. Now I'm gonna take us through and we go on.
Okay. So in 1698, you can note that Fort Jesus fell in the hands of the Oman Arabs after chasing away the Portuguese. So this is when
you give them time to note. Okay, yes, so we go on.
Fell in the hands of the Mazrui. Wait, it's of the Oman Arab.
Yes. Move to the second.
In 1741, a conflict arose between the Busaidi and the Mazrui.
So what is the event?
The
conflict. Okay. People hope we are noting. Shona, now take us to the slide which was next to that. That one we are done.
Then in 1720.
It would have been 1728 because remember this one was like a repetition, fell in their hands. So we connect it to 1728 then. Portuguese attempting to recover.
Yes.
Mm.
Can you hear?
Yes.
Yes, teacher.
Go on, teacher.
So then in 1741, Mohammed Ibn Uthman Ali Mazrui of Mombasa was murdered. The orders of the side.
So there, that is the event that we are looking at. And then they appointed Saif Ibn Khalfa.
Yes.
Then 42.
42, Ali Ibn Uthman Al Mazrui, the brother to the late Muhammad Ibn Uthman, defeated the newly appointed governor and recaptured Mombasa. The first one, Muhammad was the one murdered, and then the brother is Ali. Yes, teacher.
You go on.
Yes.
Then
fast, wait.
You're going too fast.
We are sorry, but we thought you were noting and you're saying the screen.
Yes, teacher, we're the ones writing.
But you can't write that fast.
Okay, we are not noting everything. We are just picking out the main event that can help you easily understand the course. Okay, can we leave at this screen or Shona should go back behind?
Leave here.
Go back.
Yeah. Some of the things you can... Some of the things you can summarize them in the what? In your free time. After all, the notes are going already there, but I think we are moving at not a bad speed. Someone has a question, please.
So, teacher, was Muhammad ever been part of the Busaidi?
No, he was for the Mazrui family. That's why he was murdered on the orders of the Busaidi.
Oh, okay.
Shona, move the next screen and the teacher tells us what we can summarize. Namuga, be in class there. Shona, take us, please, in the interest of time. What is going to happen in the next years?
Mazrui culture is going to expand to the following coastal areas and then put their own governor to collect taxes.
So let them first summarize that in their box, that in their table, sorry, the table that they have. We give them like 1 minute or two to summarize. Put a year and an event that happened in those years so that it can become easier for you. Mazrui was attacked, Zanzibar, the Mazrui attacked Zanzibar, but failed. Means they also wanted to add on Zanzibar, but it didn't work. Shona, I mean, people, what is the meaning of the word seizing? Seizing?
Like take.
Took over.
Is it capture?
Yeah, I think it's capture.
Like taking something.
Teacher, to capture
Over.
something.
Okay. Can I take us to the next slide, please? Namuga, take us through.
In 1784, after a succession dispute in Oman, where Ahmed ibn al-Busaidi died, the defeated claimant to the throne, Saif ibn Ahmed, tried to set up a sultanate in Kilwa and Zanzibar, but he failed and the Imam established control. So in 1784, we see that there was a succession dispute in Oman where Ahmed ibn al-Busaidi died. That the defeated claimant to the throne, Saif ibn Ahmed. So Saif ibn Ahmed tried to set up a sultanate. I don't know, like
sultanate.
A
Sultanate. The Sultan is the leader of those most of those Muslim towns. They were led by people called the sultans. The sultanate coming from the word, the title sultan.
Okay.
They
tried to set up a sultanate in Kilwa and Zanzibar, but he failed. So the Imam established control in Kilwa and Zanzibar. And that was in.
What are you picking from there?
I think that there was a succession dispute in Oman, and then Ahmed ibn al-Saidi died. Yes. Then Saif ibn Ahmed tried to set up a sultanate in Kilwa and Zanzibar after Busaidi's death. Failed, and then the Imam took control in Kilwa and Zanzibar.
Are they saying that the Busaidi still, when they tried to come and take over, they were defeated?
Yes.
And so we are seeing that Mazrui is still on. That is what I'm picking. That has, when he died, even Saif ibn Ahmed tried to come and take over some of the territory, some of the states, other towns like Kilwa, Zanzibar, but they're telling us that even when he tried, he did not. So can we put a year of 1784 and maybe a point, the point in summary, we can say succession dispute in Oman. So as someone is reading her summary, it actually starts to his own mind to go back and read what was in the succession dispute. And the succession dispute was already in Oman. So what was it all about? It involved killing Busaidi, even the successor trying to come and reconquer or take over the coast and take over some of the towns like Kilwa and Zanzibar, but they're telling us again he failed. Teacher, can you go on?
Then in 1800 to 1810, the Mazrui, taking advantage of the Oman weakness in Arabia, extended their rule from Malindi to Pangani. This means that seeing them having a succession dispute back in Oman, they took advantage of that situation and therefore extended the rule from Malindi to Pangani between those years, 1800 to 1810.
Remember, even their leader, their successor, like, okay, the one who was now there, Saif Ibn, had tried, but he had failed. Maybe this one showed the Mazrui that we are strong. Even when it comes to cost, even in the Oman, we are the best. So that's why they're extending their rule from Malindi to Pangani. So the point in summary, where 1800 to 1810, what point have we left behind? Mazrui is taking advantage of the Omans
and extending the rule up from Malindi to Pangani. Okay.
Can even say they took advantage of the Oman weakness in Arabia. For you behind, in your mind, you know, that taking advantage of the Oman, their weakness came as a result of their defeat while they were still there. So that one is the aspect. Oh, what had happened in Oman is that had given these ones energy to actually see that the others were very weak. Shona, take us, please. Take us, please, to the next slide.
In 1814, Mazrui applied to the British for help, but was not successful. So I think this is when the British started coming to East Africa and countries. So the Mazrui started to ask the British for help, but they failed.
Let me throw in something. It might not even have been that it was a time that they started coming. Like all the people who are fighting, we always seek for support. So if they went to the British and requested for support, maybe they saw it as a European country that can come in and stand in according to what they were actually passing through. So like how any other country can request for a superpower to assist her. So they thought that they will help them. Then after asking for support and failing, what happened? Go on, teacher. What happened in 1822?
In 1822, Said sent a flight to recapture Pemba, Brava from the Mazrui. So in 1822, Said sent like soldiers to reconquer Pemba, Brava from the Mazrui. So I think Said must have been from the Busaidi family back in Oman.
Not must have been, but he was coming from the Busaidi family.
Yes. So he sent a flight of soldiers to recapture Pemba, Brava from the Mazrui. So in 1822, the point to get here is Said sent a flight to recapture Pemba, Brava from the Mazrui. Meaning they wanted to take control.
I think they have noted that. You tell them what happened in 1824.
Then in 1824 to 1826, that's 2 years later, Captain Owen, that's a British commissioner, declared a protectorate over Mombasa, but the British later renounced Oman's protectorate. So here I think Captain Oman wanted to control Mombasa, so they declared it a protectorate, but later renounced the British later renounced Oman's protectorate. They later like, I don't know.
Captain Owen, a British commissioner, declared a protectorate over Mombasa, but the British later renounced Oman's protection.
Never took it, the protectorate, so they
later renounced it. Now I want to ask a question there. Do you think if they renounced, can we come to a conclusion that they gave them the support?
No.
Namga, what do you have to say? Or any other member in the house? Can you choose someone in the house to say? Teachers, the co-teachers, can you try to see if there are some people raising their hands?
Noella.
May I have a question, not an answer? I just wanted to ask, so you know how the Yarubi asked the Mazrui to take over control at the coast? Were the same Yarubi the same people who sent the Busaidi to also come at the coast when they, after realizing that the Mazrui weren't doing their job right? Or the Busaidi just had to come because they were taking turns at ruling the coast?
The Busaidi had to come because they, as much as they had not been requested, they also had interest in the coast.
So the Yarubi did not support the coming of the Busaidi as well.
They were more on the side of, for them, they were more on the side of the Mazrui.
Okay, thank you.
Any other person who was supporting what we were talking about here with Teacher Namga? Do you see any hand? Yes.
Oh, sorry, Miss. I forgot to
Yes.
lower my hand. I had asked a question earlier.
Okay. So what we are looking at here is that the British did not stay, because if they renounced later, it means what they had come to do, or taking over a protectorate, didn't come to a reality. Take us through another slide, please. I know people have noted that. Namga, take us through.
In 1827,
40. Okay. 1827.
In 1827, Said's troops attacked Mombasa, but left afterwards and did not establish farm control. So in 1827, we tried to take over Mombasa. Said sent troops to take over Mombasa, but
he actually failed.
In 1829, Said used. Yes, teacher.
No, go on.
In 1829, Said used tricks and had the Mazrui governor to Mombasa and about 30 other leaders murdered after calling them for a meeting which was held in Fort Jesus, and this brought the struggle to an end.
What are you picking from there?
Yeah. In 1829, I picked that Said used tricks and had a Mazrui governor, Mombasa, the other leaders murdered after them for meeting Fort Jesus. So I think he invited the Mazrui governor and other 30 leaders to Jesus and then murdered them.
But you're breaking. And so can you tell people what they can note on 1827?
In 1827, note that Said's troops tried to take control over Mombasa, but left afterwards and did not establish farm control. So, meaning they did not succeed, I think.
Then 1829.
In 1829, Said used tricks and had the Mazrui governor to Mombasa and about 30 other leaders murdered after calling them for a meeting, which was held in Fort Jesus. And this brought the struggle to an end. So I think there are 2 points here. Said calling the Mazrui governor and other 30 leaders and then murdering them. And then the struggle came to an end.
Do you have any other slide? Take us what happened in 1840.
In 1840, Said transferred his quarters or capital from Muscat to Zanzibar and made it difficult for Mazrui to fight again. So
do you see how the Busaid are now taking over from the Mazrui?
Yes.
Tell us what we can summarize.
We see Said transferring his quarters or capital from Muscat to Zanzibar at the East African coast to carry out effective administration, and also that made it difficult for the Mazrui to fight again. Then he got the support of his new friends, the British, to strengthen his military position so as to be able to rule the coast and Oman effectively. So here, the Busaidi had got control .
Hello.
Over help of the British, both of, yeah.
Namuga, but your network is becoming bad. So we are seeing here that he went and got the support of the British. While the British refused to help the Mazrui, here we are seeing that they are helping Said, and he strengthened his military position, implying that he was more at the verge of winning the Mazrui if he actually got the support from the British. Let's move. I know people have summarized something there.
Excuse me, teacher.
Okay, Wanju.
I wanted to ask a question, just clarification. Was Said under the Busaidi or the Mazrui?
Busaidi family.
Okay, thank you.
So we are seeing at the end of the whole story and the end of the whole session or the fighting, the Busaidi family had almost taken over the coast. And the Mazrui were won. Because if Said got the support of the British and he came up and took over, it means that he had actually won. Now, first take us, Shona, to the next slide. There, I don't want only Namuga to contribute. We are going to be choosing people. These are very easy points. Why do you think the Mazrui were defeated by the Busaidi? So you'll be choosing one person, takes us through one point, another person through the second. Today, I told you this lesson, I wanted you to be active. So you help me choose the one taking us through the first, the second, up to when our time expires. My co-teachers, please. Can you choose?
Face.
Yes, Rebecca.
Rebecca Face, unmute yourself.
Said used the British alliance to break the Mazrui rebellion. This point, from what we have seen before, we have seen that Said, after killing the leaders of the Mazrui, he got an alliance from the British who refused to help the Mazrui, and they helped him to establish a firm control at the coast, because we see that the British have more powerful weapons, better fighting tactics. So Said used this to establish more firm control at the coast. Yeah.
The second person that you can choose?
Divine Blessing.
Yes, Divine.
Said forbade all his subjects from trading with the Mazrui. This weakened them, especially their economic background.
Teacher Divine, explain to us. We are listening to you.
By weakening their economic background, it made it difficult for the Mazrui to establish a firm base.
Because the economic background had been weakened, they had no source of getting money, implying that the only thing they had to get was a failure. Shona, take us the next slide. As your other colleague chooses someone to explain.
Christabel Babiri.
The coastal towns did not accept the Mazrui overlordship and many rebelled. So it shows us that since many of the coastal towns did not want to work together with the Mazrui, there's a way that they lost the strength they lost the strength to fight against the Busaidi, because many of the towns wanted to work together with the Busaidi instead of the Mazrui.
Another person?
Atukwase Kelly.
Said determination brought about the eventual collapse of the Mazrui. So if I'm to explain this point, I would say Said was very determined, and hence his efforts went through in like a good way, and the Mazrui collapsed.
The Mazrui collapsed. So he was determined, saying, I will, come what may, I have to govern the coast. Another person, teachers?
Helen.
So, like the Busaidi, the Mazrui were not united, so they could not fight and defeat the Busaidi. So I think this point means that the fact that the Mazrui were not united, it made it very easy for the Busaidi to defeat them.
Nasuna, time has gone. Please pick another person, so that you at least
Akankunda Noreen.
The Mazrui were military weaker than the Busaidi. The Yarubi had been defeated back home in Oman, hence they became weaker and vulnerable to attacks, hence they being defeated at the East African coast. I think that point means the Busaidi were well equipped and had better military skills, hence defeating both the Yarubi and the Oman.
Pick another point.
Lauren Lusinga.
Said arrested and murdered all the leading Mazrui in 1837, which finally brought the long struggle to one end. This is talking about how he murdered all their leaders and their leading people, so making them weaker and more vulnerable to defeat.
Amelia.
Said he was so tactful, i.e., he knew when to use force or diplomacy. E.g., in 1824, he temporarily withdrew from Mombasa. This means that the Said family had a tactful leader. He knew when to use force and when to use his mind, like when to kill and when not to kill, and that is how they were able to win how they were.
Kelly Atukwase.
So I left effects of the Mazrui rule at the East Africa.
Can't start the effects. Time is against us. Teacher, can you entertain some questions if there are people who are asking something? Let me first see how many minutes do we have. One is. Any questions? If there are no, are there questions, please?
There are no questions.
I thank the co-teachers. Thank you, Namuga. Thank you, Shona, Nasuna, and all the people who have actually participated. You have made this lesson very interesting and very nice. Thank you for being good girls. God bless you.
Excuse me, teacher.
Thank you, teacher.
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes, who is asking?
The notes Chonila, the notes of Oman, they are saying material not found. I don't know if I'm the only one who has that problem.
Okay, I'm going to inform Mrs. Mwanguzi. She's the one who is uploading the work.
Bye. Thank you.